Chapter 1231. That was precisely why S-rank female assassins were so coveted. A man's neck would already be snapped in situations like this. A woman would at least be given a chance to talk her way out of it. Olivia took a deep breath. Tears welled up in her eyes as she started to put up a performance. I saw you passed out at the side of the river and was about to perform CPR. Is that why you took off my shirt? Wayne's chest was still bare. Olivia sniffed. Why else? Do you think I wanted to do it with you? You were unconscious. What could I possibly do? Wayne observed her facial expression like he was trying to see if she was telling the truth. Who are you? Why are you in a place like this? As he talked, the blood from the injury on his arm stained his shirt. It dripped from his skin onto Olivia's face. I'm a doctor. I'm here to look for herb that blooms at night. I didn't expect to find someone unconscious here. Wayne sneered. Do you think I'd believe that? No matter who you are, you're dying here right now. He began to tighten his fingers around her neck. Olivia's brain went into overdrive as she tried to think of a way to deal with the situation at hand. She ultimately chose an extremely risky method. If she tried to fight him at that moment, it didn't matter if she succeeded or not. He would be alerted, and it would be impossible for her to get close to him in the future. Tears streamed down Olivia's face. I'm really a doctor. If you don't believe me, I can prove it to you by examining your current condition. Wayne sneered. You're going to die even if you are a doctor. I don't take any chances. He tightened his fingers yet again. Olivia was left with no other choice. Wayne was more violent than the data implied. That was why this was an S-rank mission. Olivia was prepared to fight to the death since she valued her life more than the success of the mission. As she was about to fight back, Wayne suddenly clutched his head with both hands and screamed. He knelt on the floor like a maniac. His shirt was opened, revealing his muscular torso. But that wasn't the time to focus on that. Olivia could finally breathe. Wayne almost strangled her. He seemed to be suffering from a massive headache right now. He held his head with one hand and reached out toward her with the other in an attempt to kill her. If she wanted to strike while he was still weakened, she could just draw her gun and shoot him. But that would mean she would fail the mission. She decided to take a risk. Olivia stepped back and said gently, "Does your head hurt a lot? Lay down and I'll examine you." "Shut up. I'll kill you." Wayne drew his gun and pointed it at her. It looked like he was about to fire. Olivia quickly dodged as the gunshot sounded. She picked up a rock and smashed it on his forehead. It started to bleed. "You really are." Before he could say anything else, Olivia pushed him to the ground. "Have you calmed down yet? I'm a doctor. Do as I say." Under the gleam of the moonlight, Wayne met Olivia's determined gaze. There was no fear in her eyes. Then, he felt her hand on his wrist. The headache made him feel irritated. It made him want to kill the unknown woman before him. Olivia quickly spoke up. "Don't move. You'll die if you kill me. Did you suffer a major head injury in the past? The headaches are caused by blood clots." He stopped raising his gun. "You're really a doctor." Chapter 1232. Olivia became visibly more confident when it came to her profession. "You won't believe me even if I say so. Just stay still." Luckily, she had thought about all possible outcomes from the start. The identity she gave herself was that of a doctor. That was why her backpack was filled with medical supplies. She took out her equipment and turned on an emergency lamp. Seeing the silver needles, Wayne asked coldly, "What are you doing?" "I'm going to get rid of the clots and ease that headache of yours. Don't worry. If I wanted to kill you, I would have done so when you were unconscious." Wayne knew there was truth in her words. After all, she had the time she needed to kill him if she had the time to take off his clothes. The pain made Wayne give in. He said coldly, "You'd better be able to heal me. Or else, I'll tear you to pieces." Olivia ignored him. She started to perform acupuncture on his head under the illumination of the lamp. While she was doing that, she lamented the ridiculousness of the situation. She didn't find the ring and was providing Wayne with treatment. If Mason found out about this, he would not be happy. After the silver needles were in place, she took out some disinfectant and bandages. "What are you doing now?" Olivia looked at him and barked, "Are you blind? Can't you see that I'm disinfecting your wounds?" She took a pair of forceps and picked up a cotton ball. After soaking the cotton ball in some alcohol, she pushed it against his wounds roughly. He winced in pain, but he didn't make a sound. He allowed her to clean up and dress his wounds. His gaze was still cautious. "Why did a woman like you come to a place like this in the middle of the night? Aren't you scared that you'll get killed by a wolf? You're way scarier than wolves. You tried to kill me even though I saved your life." Wayne glared at her, but she pretended not to notice. "Take off your shirt. I want to look at your hand. Why are you treating my wounds? You don't even know who I am." "I don't really want to either, but won't you just kill me on the spot? Let's make a deal. If I cure you completely, let me leave. I have to look for herbs. It'll be too late when those idiots decide to bombard this area." This piece of land was untouched by war. There weren't any people or buildings, so there was no need to bombard this area. For once, Wayne remained silent even though he was one of those idiots that Olivia was talking about. He followed her instructions and took off his shirt. He could tell that she was a medical practitioner based on how she dressed his wound, and she was an experienced one at that. Wayne's arm was bleeding profusely. While she was trying to stop the bleeding, she yelled, "You're bleeding so much, and you were still trying to kill me. Weren't you afraid that you might bleed out?" "I'll die anyway," Wayne said nonchalantly. His headache had been alleviated. He didn't feel any more pain. He was in a clearer state of mind. "You're pretty good at this." Olivia intentionally applied some force to his wound. It was revenge for trying to strangle her. Wayne knew that. He thought that Olivia was a brave person with a fiery temper. She actually dared to take it out on him. After she finished dressing the wounds on his arm, Olivia removed the silver needles and wiped off the sweat on her forehead. "I saved you, so you'll let me go. We're square now." She put her stuff back into her backpack. Wayne's shadow loomed over her. Olivia turned around and saw his devilish smile. "Who said we're square?" Wayne grabbed her collar and said, "Woman, I still have use for you." Chapter 1233. Olivia pretended to be afraid. "What do you want to do? I saved you. Let me go. I need to go look for herbs." Wayne picked her up and threw her onto his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. He didn't treat her like a woman at all. He also took her backpack and slung it over his back. "Give up on trying to get away. I won't let you leave before you completely heal me." Olivia smiled as she signaled to undress him with her hands. She intentionally exposed her medical proficiency so that Wayne would think she was useful. She would be able to look for the ring in secret while she was providing treatment to Wayne. Maybe she could even help Mason and Ethan uncover more secrets. The silhouettes in the distance were getting closer. "Are you okay, sir? Sir, is this a prisoner from the enemy? Why is it a woman? Should we bury her alive? Why don't we chop her up and feed her to the fishes?" These people were just like Wayne. They were all cruel. Wayne was topless. He didn't look like the top brass of a country. He was like a bandit, one of the most unkempt people Olivia ever met. He glared at the other men. "She's a doctor. I need her alive to treat my headaches. I'll kill all of you if she so much as loses a finger." A doctor? Why would there be a doctor in a place like this? Don't be fooled, sir. She might be a spy. That's right. No doctor would appear in the middle of nowhere like this. Wayne knew everything they said made sense. He didn't believe Olivia initially, but his headaches had been troubling him for years. The doctors he had seen couldn't help him. They said he had to wait for it to heal by itself. If he couldn't take it, he could take pain meds. Olivia was able to alleviate the pain with some needles. She was much better than the mediocre doctors he had seen. "We'll talk when we get back. Did you find that bastard? I told you he'd die before me." Wayne changed the subject. Bastard. Was he talking about Ethan? Olivia pinched his waist hard, but his body was like steel. He barely even felt it. "Mess around again and I'll feed you to Ben," Wayne threatened her coldly. Although she didn't know what Ben was, it didn't sound like anything good. "Do we have a sack?" Wayne asked someone next to him. "No, bring me my clothes." Wayne covered Olivia's head with his jacket. Her eyes were shrouded in darkness, and her nostrils were filled with the smell of his scent and blood. This bastard was heartless. Olivia saved him, but he treated her so roughly. She was taken to a car. She even displayed some frightened reactions to sell the performance. The person beside her said with annoyance, "Shut up. Make one more sound and I'll cut off your legs. I just need your arms, after all." Olivia was at a loss for words. This man was such a tyrant. The car drove on an uneven road. Olivia didn't dare to make move. Wayne was a heartless man. He meant it when he said he would cut her legs off. The car hit another bump on the road, and Olivia was flung from her seat and fell to the floor. Olivia felt dizzy from the fall. Before she could get up, Wayne placed a foot on her. "Stay like this. I needed a footstool. This works." Olivia was taken aback. She almost lost her cool and cursed at him. "You bastard, I saved your life. Is this how you treat your savior?" Chapter 1234. Olivia couldn't see anything because of the jacket covering her face. Olivia could clearly feel Wayne leaning over above her. "I'd stop yapping if I were you. You won't be able to appeal to my better nature if I don't have that." Olivia was speechless. She endured it. It was all for the ring. Sooner or later, she would end his life with her own two hands. After some time and several turns, the car finally stopped. It was just as Olivia was about to vomit. She was picked up again before she could catch her breath. Soon, she was thrown onto a cold, hard floor so roughly that she thought her bones would break. In a fit of rage, Olivia pulled off the jacket on her head and threw it away. She didn't do it earlier because she was afraid she would see something she wasn't meant to see and get killed. She stood up and pointed at Wayne. "What kind of depraved jerk are you? You're a crook, an outlaw, a criminal." Wayne sat down on the couch and crossed his legs. He was topless, and his well-built figure was completely exposed under the light. He had well-developed chest muscles, well-defined abs, and an Adonis belt that ran all the way down to his lower abdomen. His arms were still bandaged, but it didn't take away from his extremely masculine appearance. Someone came in through the door. He shot Olivia a glance and then threw her bag on the floor. "Sir, we've checked her bag. There are only regular items and medicine. There's nothing suspicious in it." Wayne's gaze fell on Olivia again. "Strip, woman." Olivia almost thought she heard wrongly. "What did you say?" "I said, strip." The man in black standing at the side also felt like Wayne's words were too provocative. Hence, he offered an explanation. "Miss, we just want to check if you're carrying anything dangerous on you." Olivia crossed her arms. "Is he crazy? He's the one who brought me here. And he's the one suspicious of me now. How is that even logical?" "Sorry, but this is part of the procedure. If you're unwilling to do it yourself, I'll do it for you." The man in black started to walk toward her. Olivia raised a hand to stop him. "Wait, even if you want to search me, you should get a woman to do it." "Sorry, there are no women here at the moment. Anyone from the kitchen, a cleaner." He shook his head. "None at all. There are only men here. So, you'll have to put up with it." Wayne frowned. Then, he pulled Olivia over to him and threw her onto the couch. He reached out and grabbed her collar as he said impatiently, "Women are so troublesome. We just need you to strip. We're not gonna kill you. Why are you making so much of a fuss?" Dexam City was located in a tropical area. The weather was warm all year round. It didn't get much colder at night either. Olivia was wearing a camisole underneath and a light blue baggy shirt on the outside. Wayne pulled at her roughly, which caused the buttons on her shirt to be ripped off. The white camisole inside was also pulled up. Her bare neck, collarbone, and shoulders were exposed. Even parts of her bra and her cleavage could be seen. Olivia's figure was superb, and her skin was flawless. Even if she wasn't fully exposed, it still made an emotionless man like Wayne freeze for a second and gulp. Even the man in black was stunned. Olivia's face looked plain, but her figure was great. Chapter 1235. Although Olivia had been through some hard years in her life, she had never been humiliated like this. She didn't care about Wayne's status. She slapped him resoundingly while he was still in a daze. The crisp sound of the slap echoed in the room. Wayne came back to his senses and pinned her hands above her head. He was already topless to begin with, so their position looked quite indecent. The man in black covered his mouth and cleared his throat to mask his embarrassment. Glaring at her, Wayne questioned angrily, "You dare hit me? Why not? You're a punk. Let go of me, you pervert," Olivia said as she sat up and headbutted Wayne despite the fact that her hands were restricted. Both of them were reeling from the impact. Wayne loosened his grip on Olivia after that blow and stared at her in disbelief. He had never seen such a bold woman in his life. Olivia had lost her cool. She jumped on him and scratched his chest repeatedly. She left several red marks on his chest. "You shameless bastard. You're not showing any gratitude to me for saving you. And you even treat me so rudely. I'll kill you." The man in black quickly came up to stop her. He dragged her away and said, "Calm down, miss." Before Wayne could react, Olivia kicked him in the face while she was being dragged away. Wayne licked his lips and looked at the scratch marks on his chest. Then, he spat some blood out of his mouth. That woman was feisty. Wayne got up. His tall frame blocked the lights above, casting a long shadow over Olivia. "Do you think I won't hit you because you're a woman?" Olivia could tell that he would only kill people, but he didn't hit women. Or else, he would have retaliated the first time she struck him. That was why she beat him up fearlessly and even kicked him in the face. "Let me go." "Can't do that." Wayne grabbed Olivia's collar. "Don't even think about leaving before I get better. Also, I'll kill you if I ever find out you have ulterior motives." He let go of Olivia after he said that, and she fell to the floor. "Sir, what do we do about this woman? She's a good doctor. Let her stay and treat my headaches." "All right, understood." Wayne walked away quickly. The man in black began to verify Olivia's identity. Doctors were well respected all around the world, so the man treated her with more respect. "My name is Alan Tanner. May I know your name, where you live, and why you showed up in a place like this?" Olivia told him the answer she had already prepared in advance. She was a little nervous. Alan was clearly a trusted aide of Wayne. He would be hard to fool. After hearing her explanation, Alan said, "So you're from Canwell City?" "I was there some years ago. The mutton there was so tasty. I still think about it now." Anyone else might be confused by his statement, but Olivia was a smart person. She also lived in Canwell City once. She explained, "You must have remembered wrongly. Canwell City is on a higher sea level with cold weather. People there rear goats instead of sheep." Chapter 1236. After Olivia's reminder, Alan said, "You're right. I was wrong. It was goats. Also, there were those flowers that bloom during winter. What are those called again?" "Valerian. It has medicinal purposes. It helps with insomnia. Just ask if you have any other questions," Olivia replied calmly with a confident glow in her eyes. Noticing that Olivia had seen through his ploy, Alan rubbed his nose awkwardly. "I'll get to the point. What herbs were you looking for?" "Moonflower. It's a flower that only blooms when the moon is out. Its petals are bright and attract fireflies." Alan asked some more questions after that, but he wasn't able to find any holes in Olivia's story. "I apologize for what happened before this, Dr. Ophelia. Mr. Maxwell is a little quick-tempered. You'll be rewarded handsomely if you heal him." Olivia frowned. "I don't care for any rewards. I just want to be set free." "Who are you people?" "Don't worry, Dr. Ophelia. We won't hurt you as long as you cooperate. On the other hand, if you decide to do anything you shouldn't, I can guarantee what will happen to you. Don't ask any more questions. I'll take you to where you'll be living now." Alan led the way and brought her to a small room. "I'm sorry, but our resources are limited here. This is all we can offer right now. You've had a good scare today. You should rest. Also, don't even think about escaping. Mr. Maxwell gets very angry when people don't obey him." Alan stood at the door with a chilling smile. "Sweet dreams, Dr. Ophelia." His smile faded after he closed the door. He looked at the person next to him. "Go to this address and look into this person." "Yes, Mr. Tanner." Olivia knew that they would have people look into her at Canwell City as soon as possible. The face she was wearing was that of a doctor. But the real person left home many years ago and died in an accident. Not even the person's family members knew she was dead. There was no way these men would know. There wasn't anything suspicious in Olivia's bag, but there was a tracker in one of her teeth. She also carried a pistol and a dagger on her. As for her phone, she was afraid that they would find something suspicious on it since a lot of data could still be retrieved even if it were deleted. Hence, she threw her phone into the river before Wayne took her away. It had probably drifted further downstream. The first phase of the plan was a success. She only had to gain Wayne's trust and get the ring as soon as possible. Then, she could work with Undecim and leave this place. She didn't get much sleep that night. She was on guard the whole time. Alan knocked on Wayne's door in the morning. Wayne opened his eyes lazily. "Did you finish looking into her?" "Yes. Please take a look, Mr. Maxwell." Alan handed him the information on the person known as Ophelia. He said, "She seems fine from what we found. Ophelia left Canwell City 5 years ago. There isn't time to look any deeper, so we only found information about her from 5 years ago." Wayne nodded and threw the document back to Alan. "Bring that woman here to treat me." Olivia was wide awake as soon as someone knocked on her door. "Who is it?" "Don't be afraid, Miss Ophelia. It's me." Olivia opened the door and looked at Alan cautiously. "You're the reason I'm afraid. I didn't get a wink of sleep last night." Chapter 1237. You don't have to be so nervous, Miss Ophelia. You just have to focus on providing treatment for Mr. Maxwell. He requested for you to go to him and administer treatment. When Olivia got there, Wayne had just gotten out of the bathroom. He had a towel around his waist. His muscular torso and calves were exposed. The bandages she put on him yesterday were all wet. It looked like some blood was seeping from them. This man was completely unhinged. Olivia had met plenty of men, but Wayne was the roughest of them all. He was a complete maniac. "Don't you know you're hurt?" Olivia asked as she pointed at his arm. Wayne dried his hair casually with a towel. He said nonchalantly, "That's why I asked you to come treat me." "Do you have a problem with that?" What was he thinking? Wayne was testing the limits of her patience. Olivia glared at him angrily and poked at his head. "Are you insane? Let me go if you plan to die. I won't be able to cure you no matter how good I am if you're uncooperative." Wayne grabbed her finger and looked at her with anger in his eyes. "I can break this finger with a slight twist. Don't get too cocky, woman." Olivia rolled her eyes at him. "Oh please, the domineering act is so out of style." She began to arrange her medical supplies. Wayne looked at Alan in confusion. "What is she talking about?" Alan cleared his throat. "It seems she's talking about a type of character in novels, the type of man that would treat women domineeringly. It seems to have gone out of style recently." Wayne finally understood what he meant. "And what's in style now?" "Mr. Maxwell, I wouldn't know. I don't read novels. How would I know what's trending?" Wayne stroked his chin. "Do I speak very weirdly?" He didn't think anything was wrong with how he spoke. That woman was probably just acting out. "Hey, you." Olivia set aside the bandages and the medical supplies. She picked up a pair of scissors. "Ophelia, that's my name." She proceeded to cut open the bandages on his arm after she said that. She saw the bleeding wound underneath and dabbed a cotton ball soaked in alcohol on it. "If you want my treatment, you have to listen to what I say. Don't let the wounds get soaked. It'll be troublesome if you get an infection. If you want to die, you can always just stab yourself in the heart." Olivia continued to reprimand him with a stern expression. "You might think medical supplies aren't that important. But in a war-torn area like this, medical supplies are extremely precious to refugees because they can save lives. You shouldn't waste them. Why are you concerned about the refugees?" "I'm human. I'm not heartless." Wayne scoffed. "You're just pretending to be kind. I hate people like you who feign kindness." Olivia didn't explain herself, but she meant what she said. People in war-torn areas lived really hard lives. They didn't have resources, medical supplies, or rations. Many of them could only watch as their loved ones died before their very eyes. Olivia bandaged his wounds angrily. Her actions were rough. After she was done with that, Wayne tugged at her hand and said, "Do acupuncture now." Olivia picked up her silver needles. "If I were pretending to be nice, I'd just stab you to death with my needles. Wayne smiled. Why don't you give it a try? You'll find out if I can destroy a city with a single command. Chapter 1238. Olivia knew his identity, but she was just one person. There was nothing she could do to change the situation. Even if she killed Wayne, Carathia's assault wouldn't stop. Arlandia was forced to respond in kind, but fighting violence with more violence wasn't ideal. She didn't know how Wayne could talk about something like that so casually. She composed herself and asked, "Who are you, really? You just need to provide treatment for me. You don't have to concern yourself with anything else." Olivia looked troubled. She didn't want to talk about it anymore. She said calmly, "I need to use the bathroom. Go lay in bed. I'll examine you properly later. Your issue is not with your head alone." Wayne raised his chin. Olivia locked the door as soon as she entered the bathroom. Since nothing happened last night, it seemed like their suspicion of her had been dispelled. It was a great opportunity because Wayne had just showered. She noticed that he wasn't wearing the ring on his fingers. It was possible that he left it in the bathroom. Olivia went through the clothes he took off carefully. She even checked his innerwear. Why wasn't the ring here? Did he not bring it with him on this trip? Olivia frowned. Washing her hands, she exited the bathroom. Wayne was lying in bed as per her instructions. He had his limbs outstretched, and the towel was slightly parted. Olivia could see most of his thighs clearly. She quickly turned away. This man was incredibly crude. She sat down by the bed and placed a finger on his wrist to feel his pulse. If the ring wasn't with him, she had to go back to Carathia with him. She would only get an opportunity to get the ring if he trusted her completely. So, she examined him very carefully. She moved her finger away after a while. "How's Mr. Maxwell doing, Miss Ophelia?" Olivia snorted. "The problem isn't just in his head. There are dozens of different issues, including some heart problems." Alan didn't believe it when Wayne said Olivia was a doctor. But he was convinced at that moment. "You're right. Mr. Maxwell suffered a head injury in the past. Although he had surgery for it, the results weren't really that good. The chances of another success with cranial surgery are low. That's why no doctors dare to try it. It's also the cause of Mr. Maxwell's headaches. The same goes for his heart. I've heard that Vanessa's a great doctor, but we looked for a year and couldn't find her. Can you fix him? I can't say for sure, but I'll try my best." "You're third rate," Wayne said snobbily. Olivia had the urge to sew his mouth up. "Don't give me that look. Just be honest and give a straight answer. You're just a third-rate doctor, aren't you?" "Sure, I'll say I can do the cranial surgery. Will you have the guts to get onto the operating table? I've got nothing to lose. If you die during the operation, just do better in your next life." "Mr. Maxwell, please stop aggravating her. I think Miss Ophelia is actually quite skilled. Please treat Mr. Maxwell's head, Miss Ophelia." "No can do." "All right." Wayne sat up and looked at Alan. "I remember that you captured some stinking rats a few days ago, right? Bring them here." Olivia felt a little uneasy. Then, she saw Alan bringing a few people over. Those people had tanned skin, round eyes, thick brows, and were wearing rags. They were clearly refugees from Dexam City. They looked like they had been starved for a few days. They looked weak, but one of them had some strength left in him and started cursing. He cursed in the local language, which Olivia only understood a little of. It was clear he was cursing up a storm from his outraged expression. "What are you planning to do?" Olivia asked. A dagger appeared in Wayne's hands out of nowhere. He had a devilish smile on his face as he stuck that dagger into that man's chest. Blood splattered everywhere, and some stained her blue shirt. The man fell to the ground with his eyes wide open, looking in Olivia's direction. Blood quickly pooled on the floor. Chapter 1239. The man was weakened to begin with. That stab was enough to kill him instantly. Some of the blood stained the soles of Olivia's shoes. She had killed some people over the years too. But she had a bottom line. She only killed people who deserved to die. Judging from these people's attire, they were just citizens who loved their own country. The man's expression looked a lot like Mona's before he died. Both of them were innocent people who died because of her. No matter how much time passed, she still couldn't get used to a situation like this. Olivia touched her own face subconsciously. For a moment, it was like she could feel the warmth and sensation of Mona's blood on her face. Wayne was pleased by her shocked expression. He slowly walked next to the dead man, crouched down, and pulled that dagger out of his chest. He twirled the dagger in his hand. He was about to stick the dagger into another person's chest. Olivia grabbed his hand. "Don't do it." The dagger in his raised hand still had the blood of the dead man on it. It flowed from the blade and dripped onto Olivia's face. "Can you treat me now?" Wayne asked in a whisper, like the murmurs of the devil. Olivia closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "All right, I'll do it." Wayne clapped his hands. Alan called some people over to drag the frightened refugees and the dead body away. If it weren't for the blood on the floor, Olivia would have thought it was all a dream. She had read about Wayne's savagery on his file, but the words weren't as convincing as what she saw in person. Wayne took some tissues and cleaned the blood off his blade. Then, he went back to the bed and lay down. "Let's begin." Olivia picked up a silver needle and eyed his neck. Then, Wayne spoke up, "If anything happens to me, the entire city will die with you. Think about it before you stick that needle into me." What a cruel man. Olivia started to perform acupuncture, but she still felt very emotional. Other than his head, Olivia also stuck some needles all over his body. She didn't speak another word throughout the whole treatment. The room was eerily quiet. There was only one thought in her mind: she had to find that ring and get out of there. It wasn't in the bathroom. Could it be in this room? The decor of the room wasn't complicated. If she had the opportunity to search the room, it would only take her 5 minutes. After she removed the last needle, Wayne closed his eyes. His breathing was steady. It looked like he had fallen asleep. Wayne was a very paranoid person. It was highly possible that he was pretending to be asleep to catch her off guard, just like how he killed a man to make an example of him. No matter how anxious she was, she wouldn't choose to do anything then and there. It was clear that Wayne had never fully trusted her to begin with. She put her needles away and left the room without hesitation. After she closed the door, Wayne slowly opened his eyes. He was like a leopard that had his eyes on his prey. It was in the middle of the night. Olivia had stayed in this place for a day and a night. She had been shut in this room almost the whole time when she wasn't providing Wayne with treatment. She opened the door sneakily after night had fallen. She had already planned out an escape route during the day. She only had to climb up the tree in the yard and jump onto the wall. She climbed up the tree nimbly and jumped to the wall carefully. After she jumped down from the wall, an amused voice rang out next to her. "Where do you think you're going, Ophelia?" Wayne, who was dressed in black, slowly walked toward her. "Didn't I tell you to cure my headaches?" Chapter 1240. Olivia looked like a harmless little bunny before Wayne's towering figure. Her body was trembling subconsciously as she moved backward with her hands propping her up on the ground. She looked absolutely terrified. That was precisely what she wanted him to see. It was only logical for a normal person to want to run away when they had just seen man kill an innocent person in cold blood. It would be more suspicious if she were completely docile. It was a psychological showdown between the two of them. Olivia said in a shaky voice, I'm just out for some fresh air. I never thought about running away." Wayne bent over slightly as he looked at her. With a devilish smile, he asked, "Is that so?" Olivia nodded her head frantically. "That's right. I'm just getting some fresh air. Please don't kill anyone else. Since you're not running away, why would I harm anyone needlessly? But it's chaotic out here. I'm restricting your freedom for your own good. I hope this is the last time you try something like this." After he said that, he approached her with the intent of carrying her away. As soon as he touched Olivia, he could feel her trembling violently. It was like she was faced with some terrible beast. "Are you really so afraid of me?" Olivia didn't respond, but the fear in her eyes said it all. Wayne patted her on the shoulder. "Don't worry, I won't mistreat you if you're obedient." Then, he put her on his shoulder and carried her away. Olivia was reminded of workers at the dock carrying sacks full of stuff. Perhaps they were bandits who were carrying innocent women away. There was definitely something wrong with this man. Let go of me. I can walk. Olivia hated being in close contact with a stranger. Even if she wasn't involved with this man romantically, she still couldn't get used to it. After she struggled for a few seconds, Wayne slapped her bottom. Settle down. Olivia was at a loss for words. That bastard. She would end him sooner or later. Ethan hurt her in the past, but it was all mental abuse. He would show her some care even when they were doing it. He had never treated Olivia so disrespectfully. Not even Jeff had smacked her on her bottom before. This man whom she had just met last night actually smacked her. It was so humiliating. Wayne did that reflexively. He spaced out for a second after he did that. Olivia was wearing a pair of jeans. They weren't too thick, so he could feel how supple her bottom was. It was something he had never felt before. But he never cared much about these things, so he quickly put the thought behind him. He brought Olivia to the bed in his room. She looked at him guardedly. What are you doing? I just don't want you hopping over the wall at night again. This way, I'll be able to keep you safe, Wayne said with a chilling smile. He was like a feral beast. This wasn't protection. He was keeping her prisoner. Olivia thought it would take some more effort, but things were progressing faster than she expected. The good thing was that Wayne didn't seem interested in women. There wasn't information about any women he was close with in his file. He could have had his heart broken by someone in the past. Or else something was bound to happen when they were alone in his bedroom. It was easier for her to find the ring this way. Wayne got someone to bring 2 blankets, which he placed on the floor. After the door was closed, he said, "Go to sleep." Olivia sat on the bed without moving a muscle. Wayne was very impatient. He kicked her off the bed. I said, sleep.